Very good evening to each and every one of you, and welcome in the ring. How are you folks not doing tonight? Do let us know, guys, if you're hearing us loud and clear. Lynette, Wilma, Roxanne, Brenda, Wenda, Penelope, great to see you on the live as well, and all the other folks who are joining us. Roxanne, Odessa, I see we got Penelope, and so many of you joining us. 500 plus of you have already tuned into our broadcast. Dexter Charles, Patricia Sana, Tracy Clark, who me? Yes, you, Ingrid King, Lynette, Wilma, good to have all of you on the live tonight, folks. Share the live, smash that emoji button for us. Good to have all of you folks in the ring with us. Share. Don't be immune to smashing that emoji button as well. Please and thank you. Rajin, Pretty Milicia, Roxanne Odessa Jacob says loud and clear. Marlon Lama says loud and clear. Rhonda Spencer Tom, good to have you guys on the live tonight. Good folks. Pace and power and boots on the ground. Happy to have all of you here. Brenda Solomon. Roxanne Odessa, good to have you. Rajin Bim, good to have you too. And all the other beautiful folks who are joining us, like you wonderful folks out there. Share. So that others, there's nobody likes and shares per se, but it drives up the algorithm, drives it into different news feed so that others can have the valid and credible information as well. Folks, we got to do different this time than we did the last time. This 5 got to be different from the last 5. So we encourage you folks, share the live for us. Smash that emoji button as well. We're fired up at this end, folks, and we are ready to begin. Happy, as I said, to have each and every one of you here, good folks, wherever you're joining us from tonight. A couple of things we want to share with you, and then we out of your hairs so that you can go ahead and have a fantastic rest of the evening, because we understand very acutely people have places to go, things to do, people to see, such and so forth. We understand, folks. Election 2025, the thing is behind us. By Monday officially, you'll see a new intro for our broadcast. We won't have this graphic here anymore because this election is fading into the rear view mirror. How much a rear view mirror, as we say it here colloquially. And we're gonna move with the times, folks, and moving a pace, forward ever, backward never. Share the broadcast. Good to have so many of you, as I said. Andrew Griffith, Sam, and is it Turner, Samantha Edwards, Patricia Stano, good to see you as well. Good to see Myrtle and Marlon Jacobs, Dennis Timothy, we see you as well, and Gwyneth Jones Prince. We see all of you fantastic because we're happy to have you all here as well. We got a number of things trending tonight we think you guys ought to know about. A snapshot perhaps of the last 24, the last 72 hours, last 48, last 72 hours. We can take 48. Forward ever, we can take 48. And as we begin tonight, folks, quite a few things. Let's start here. This devastating fire in Albouystown that left folks, a lot of people homeless, a lot of people counting millions and millions of dollars in losses. We want to ring the bell one time for that. Fire is a devastating thing, Fire is a very devastating thing, and we know that those folks are gonna be helped. We know to get back on their feet in very short order. So we can be looking out for them. Folks. What a devastating fire! And we had a bird's eye view of that fire just this afternoon. Folks, a bird's eye view of that fire. I'll tell you something. My God, I'll tell you something. It was something else. You all hear me? It was something else. Take a look at some of what we saw, folks, as we were boots on the ground just this afternoon there. This is Albouystown. As we were boots on the ground there, folks, and what we saw, and we also learned that the divisional commander, divisional fire officer Otis Charles, he confirmed that there were firefighters who were battling this blaze in James Street, Albouystown, which up to when we got there had already raised 3 houses to the ground, and the cause and had caused also damage to several neighboring properties there. 3 houses were already completely gutted, razed to the ground. Several other neighboring properties damaged as well. And fire crews were on the ground there. Kudos to them, working very, very hard to bring that situation under control. Of course, our thoughts and our prayers are with all of the folks who lost their belongings, had their lives so severely disrupted by this fire in Albouystown just today. We're watching that. We had our sister. I was on the ground there this afternoon, and I saw also incoming member of parliament. Should I have said that? Incoming member of parliament, Neighbor Flew Best. She was also on the ground there talking with residents. And of course, we're going to advance that. We're going to look out for the people who suffered losses there in this devastating fire in Albouystown. We wanted to draw your attention, and again, joining us, good folks, Divisional Fire Officer Otis Charles confirmed that the firefighters were on the ground there this afternoon battling this huge blaze in James Street, Albouystown, which razed at least 3 homes and damaged several other properties as well. And that's just some of what we're following. Several other properties were badly damaged by that very, very devastating fire there. And of course, I know the crews are still on the ground there trying to bring that situation under total control. But that is where we are, folks, as we begin tonight. That is where we are. And as we run that, we want to share another bit of information with you as well as we on that particular subject matter, this fire here. We learned also that horrific shooting of influencer and makeup artists and artistes as well. Lola last Saturday, just outside of her home, she was sitting in a vehicle. Gentleman walked up to that car, discharged several rounds in the direction of Lola, hitting her several times. And she was admitted to hospital, had emergency surgery, and the folks said that she is relatively stable now. Initially, they had taken one person into custody who was helping with the investigation, and then they also took this gentleman who you see on your screen here, Paul David Jr., who is also a sanctioned individual for drug trafficking. But we were told today that he was the main suspect in the shooting. The other person was already released on bail, and he was cleared today. Paul David Jr., he was cleared today of that shooting incident. And we're picking this up from, I think, Travis's end. His alibi was checked and corroborated, confirming at the time he was home between his residence, they say, and the home of his child mother. I like the mother of the child, mother of his child, but we say here child mother. He was the alibi checked and corroborated that he was between his residence and the mother of his child when the attack occurred outside, of course, Lolita Calendar's residence. And Lolita Calendar is the given name of Lola, of course. This is in East Remvelt, folks. They say, I think it's Texas Square is the name of that real estate. Texas Square, East Remvelt. And we're told that Davy's attorney, Sian Dujon, he said that his client was questioned extensively during his detention and that investigators even accompanied him to retrieve surveillance footage to support his alibi. And Davy has since been released on $1 million bail. So that is the development at that end, folks. And they're telling us also that police have also confirmed that the first suspect who was held in connection with the case, he has also, as I said, been released on $500,000 bail, $500,000 bail, and he has to report, of course, to the police force at different intervals. We also know that Lolita Calendar Lola, who was shot multiple times, she remains hospitalized, but they did tell us, we did have a statement out of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, which says that she is improving in condition and has been interviewed by investigators as this probe into this dastardly act, the shooting of influencer Lola, as that probe continues. So we're following it, folks, as you can tell. We're following it. But if you're now joining us, the information we have is that Mr. Paul David Jr., who was the main suspect in this horrific shooting of influencer Lola, he has been cleared. His alibi has been checked, and he has been cleared of having anything to do with the shooting incident at this point, and he was released on $1 million bail. Yeah, that's information we have. That is information we have. This is a month where people reflect internationally on suicide and how far we've come in terms of eradicating this scourge of suicide. And so many people internationally, and especially in Guyana too, are affected by this. And so we were very, very happy to see that PAHO is targeting rising suicide rates and trying to bring this under control. They tell us the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, they will launch a regional initiative to combat suicide, noting that the Americas, listen to this, has seen a 17% rise in suicide since 2000. A 17% rise in suicide. My God. We got to check that, folks. We got to check this with the correct policies and bringing the policies and the intervention to the people who need it most. And we're also being told that reports indicate that listen to this, more than 100,000 people in the region has died as a result of suicide in 2021, with the Caribbean recording some of the highest mortality rates. That's interesting. We're also being told that PAHO, the PAHO program, will help countries develop prevention strategies, improve access to mental health and care, so rather mental health care. They will train communities to identify at-risk individuals. They will also promote responsible media reporting on suicide. The Pan American Health Organization also highlighted that men, listen to this, interestingly, brothers, men account for the most suicides. Men, yeah, they know that. While attempts are more frequent among women. So men account for more actual suicides while attempts are more frequent among women. We're also being told that the underlying factors for suicide include alcohol use, unemployment, and inequality. You know, our thoughts and our prayers with all of those folks who suffer with suicidal thoughts, and they are the facilities available for intervention. And always remember, you are not alone. You are not alone. And moving on from there, we were very, very pleased to see that the Commonwealth, folks, the Commonwealth, right, called on Venezuela to respect our territorial borders. Now, I love this. Kudos to the Commonwealth. Peace and power to the Commonwealth. I will cherish the times I've been to Imbatero, that border community with Venezuela in Region 1 in our country. I'll cherish going to Yarakita. Another place I got to visit? Iteringbang in Region 7. Another border community. I've never been to Iteringbang. Looking forward to going to Iteringbang. When we were at Kaikan in Region 7, we were pretty close to the border there as well, in Kaikan. But that being said, folks, before I stray too far, as I said, the Commonwealth is calling on Venezuela to respect Guyana's borders. I hope they're watching and listening tonight. I know they're always watching. And then when I say anything concerning Venezuela, they cut it and put it on TikTok, and they put it on Twitter, and they try to troll. This is the Venezuelan trolls. But y'all got to do what y'all got to do. What we want y'all to do is to respect Guyana's borders as the Commonwealth is doing. There was a statement issued just today by the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana. This is the CMGG, the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana, right? The ministers met in London today, the 11th of September, and reaffirmed their support for Guyana's sovereignty and urged Venezuela to respect the 1899 arbitral award that established our land boundaries. They got to respect it. They gotta respect it. But this is how these boys is operate. And not only that, the 1966 Geneva Convention, respect that as well. This is according to the Commonwealth group on the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana. Respect it. The 1899 Arbitral Award that the group says has established, and that we know has established the land boundary. But it didn't stop there. The group did not stop there. No. They also congratulated our country on its recent election and welcome its commitments to accept the International Court of Justice final ruling on this border controversy or controversy, President Scully Wendell. Yep. This grouping, the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana, the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana, the CMGG, they include foreign ministers from Antigua and Barbuda, Canada, and Jamaica as well. And we all noted the recent Venezuelan actions, including the naval intrusion into Guyanese waters and the referendum on the Essequibo region. And they condemned all of them as breaches of international law. I love it. I love it. The CARICOM Ministerial Group on Guyana also encouraged both countries, Guyana and Venezuela, to continue dialogue. That's so important. To continue dialogue under the Argyle Declaration, under the Argyle Agreement, rather, and pledge that, and they have pledged, this is the group, to brief all Commonwealth governments on the dispute. Yeah. They said they're going to brief all Commonwealth governments on this dispute before their next foreign ministers meeting. So kudos to them. Kudos to them for looking out for us. All for one and one for all. All right. Again, that's the Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana at their ministers meeting today in London. They had a very, very lengthy press statement on this matter, and we managed to condense it for your listening pleasure. We'll be here 2-3 hours reading through all of it. Yep, so that's some what we're following, good folks. That's some what we're following this evening. How y'all doing out there, man? Y'all tell us something now. See, Fierce Pride, Natasha, Deborah, y'all tell me something. Adele Semple, John Bourne, y'all tell us something. How y'all doing? Happy to have each and every one of you on the live tonight. But you all know in this country, we have seen such a proliferation in marijuana use and ganja use. You know, some of you might not agree with me, but CARICOM has produced a fantastic study on this subject matter. And if you read that study by CARICOM on cannabis sativa marijuana usage, the science is overtaking the stigma once attached to marijuana use. And we got to really get up to speed in that regard. Well, you all know us. We always at the back fighting forward. Deborah, Natasha, we always at the back fighting forward. We got to really bring ourselves up to speed. Janet and Homie, Jason, bring ourselves up to standard. That being said, folks, what we wanted to share with you on this note is that we've seen such a proliferation locally since we have lots of our cash crop farming failing and sugar and all of that going down. More and more people seem to be cultivating cannabis sativa. We told that one and more man, he's been charged. Listen what he had, cannabis gummies. You see, and people now elevating this thing to an art form. Why are you looking for the leaf? They're taking gum now. The 23-year-old from Enmore, Tyreek Jagnandan, he was charged in his Paranda Magistrates Court after police alleged that he possessed, listen to this, 3 pounds, 3.75 pounds to be specific, 3.75 pounds of cannabis infused gummies for trafficking. All right. He told him for some medicinal purposes, 3.75 pounds of cannabis gummies for trafficking. Right. Mr. Jagnandan pleaded not guilty, and the case was adjourned. Police say that the police says that this is one of the first prosecutions for edible cannabis products in Guyana amid efforts to curb the illicit marijuana trade. You know, while we are stamping out on trying to stamp out on the use of cannabis sativa, there are countries that are earning billions of dollars that's coming back into the development of their country because they are ahead of the times in the way we are here, the way we are not, knowing that the science has overtaken it. So there's where we are, but it is still not legal here to use marijuana above a certain amount. I think it's above 3 grams or something like that. I should know. I took a bill in the National Assembly to address this problem. The government bite over, promised to look at it, and we're still waiting. But that is the nature of the people. That is the very nature. In other news, folks, in other things that we're looking at, a sad turn of events here. There was a body that was found on the Melanie seawall, and that body has been identified. This is along the Melanie seawall. It was found there on September 2nd, and it's been identified as one Christopher Andrews Sargent, 54-year-old driver with the Guyana Revenue Authority, the GRA. And we're told that pathologist Dr. Nail Singh could not determine the cause of death due to the advanced state of decomposition. But we are understanding that the police have said that there were no marks of violence on Mr. Christopher Andrew Sargent's body. There was no marks of violence. We're told that the victim was identified by his wife, and investigators say both wrists and insteps were missing when the body was found. Both wrists and insteps were missing when the body was found, raising questions about what really happened. That seemed a little inconsistent with no marks of violence. If your wrists and your insteps missing, I mean, like, what do they measure for marks of violence? We can get it right, one way or the other. One way or the other, we can get it right. There were no marks of violence, and then the wrists were missing, and insteps. That being said, folks, when you think it's finished, beginning of sorrows. Suzdek man is missing, and his family is pleading for his safe return. We're picking this information up from Newsroom, I think it is. Thank you guys so much. Relatives of Alvin Bowani, 25 years old, from Suzdek Junction, they're appealing to the public for help nearly 3 months after he disappeared while working at a gold mining camp near Mabura. These are the vicissitudes of the gold mining life. Disappeared from that camp near Mabura, and according to the report, Bowani left his belongings behind and had not been seen or heard from since July 13th. We told her his sister, Selena Johnson, she says that the family has made multiple reports to the police and plans to organize a search trip into the interior. Our thoughts and prayers with them can be an easy time. Haven't lost touch with a loved one for so long. We wish them the best on that, folks. And as we delve into some political things, that's a lot of chatter online. We see a lot of chatter online. Who on the list and who have the list? Who have the list? Who on the list? Who sideways? Tomorrow this time we'll have a clear picture. Right? But let me tell you, for me, let's tell you where I did. Right? Listen carefully now. Listen carefully where I am in the whole thing. Right? You know what? Let us let the leader of the opposition, Mr. Norton, make the announcement tomorrow. I was going to tell you, but I don't want to disappoint you all tonight. Right? Take a disappointment tomorrow. We'll wait for that. A lot of people who on the list, who on the waiting list, who on the APNU list, who on the... There seems to be a lot of interest. Winning more than us in the National Assembly. I don't see this level of interest in who their kindness is going to be. PP got 35, 36, 42, I don't know. I don't see this level of interest. I don't know. I saw something that's supposed to be a list of their incoming ministers and so on. A lot of mistakes there. A lot of mistakes there. That ain't end too nice. Lot of mistakes. That would end too nice at all. All right. You know, they're still parsing these numbers. I said by Monday we out of this. Monday we out of this electoral period. Formally, you know, you have a start date, you have an end date. We say it's Monday, but we're being told that Win dominated things in Madhya. This is Region 8. Yeah, that's what we're being told. According to statements of poll from Region 8, they fought very hard against APNU and also PPP, and of course, you know by now Win took that region. Right? Did they? You all help me. It seems like a year ago, they beat out the PPP and APNU. You know, win is a win, no pun intended. Right? Several polling stations across Madhya, according to the report, you know, they advanced ahead in the SOPs. Right? And also, we're being told in nearby indigenous villages. Right? A win is a win. You take it how you want it. Right? Places, you know. So let me leave it there. Don't let me disaggregate. Right? But it just says to us the work that lies ahead, and that we got to pull ourselves together. You know, we got to pull ourselves together, and it's not a time for finger pointing. Maybe there'll be time for that, or maybe we don't have time for that. Right? But we got to pick up, and we got to hit the ground running. We got to hit the ground running, folks. You all hear me? Hit the ground running. No time to lose at all. At all. Pay some power. That being said, folks, let's turn attention to some other political news. On the FGM front, we leave the WIN with the FGM front. Now, this is concerning Forward Movement Guyana. And we're being told, I don't think I saw the party confirm it as yet. That didn't say they haven't confirmed it publicly. But I saw a report that indicates that Amansa will be taking that one seat that they got, having the most remainder votes. I think they got about 4,000 votes remaining after all the votes were counted and apportioned, whatever is the formula and quota that GCOM is using. The remainder votes, there's a seat allocated to that. I think they got about 4,000. Beating out the Alliance for Change. I'm told that there is one seat that the Alliance for Change got. One seat on the RDC in Region 7. On the RDC in Region 7, and it remains to be seen whether Mr. Hughes will take up that seat. One seat in Region 7 on the RDC. Or who will take up that seat? You know, so we're watching that, but we're told that Forward Guyana Movement, for their part, they have now written to the Guyana Elections Commission, and they want clarity on the registration and participation of Commonwealth citizens in the September 1 general and regional elections. I did see quite a few of the international observer missions raising the point that they didn't have a specific number to weigh the participation of the Commonwealth citizens against, because of course, we don't have that $2 billion census report of 2022. We don't have it as yet, you see. Please and thank you. In this letter to GCOM chairperson, Claudette retired Singh, Justice retired Claudette Singh, that is, and soon we're being told retired chairman as well as GCOM, right? The Forward Guyana Movement asks for the data on the total number of registered voters who qualified under the category of Commonwealth citizens, resident and domiciled in Guyana. And those are some legal words that has implication. Resident and domicile in Guyana, along with a breakdown. This is what Forward Guyana Movement is asking for. They want a breakdown by country of origin. By country of origin. The FGM is also seeking figures on how many such citizens actually actually voted. Right? They're asking GCOM to disaggregate by nationality, as well as the statutory provisions and internal guidelines under which they were registered and allowed to cast their ballots. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. Drilling down in the numbers. That's what's happening here. There's a drilling down in the numbers, right? They went on to say, this Forward Ghana movement, that the integrity of our electoral systems depend on clarity, transparency, and accountability. All things them boys don't know about, right? All things they don't know about. Forward Ghana movement went on to say that Guyanese citizens must be assured that their democratic will is not frustrated or diluted by participation of foreign nationals. Another important point. This was stressed by Forward Ghana movement. Right? They say that the request that they have made covers both statistical data and supporting documentation. They're asking GCOM to respond in about 14 days or explain in writing if it cannot fully comply. And of course, they've sent out these correspondences, or this copy of this correspondence, to several international missions. Well, several missions. This is the International Observer missions, the Europeans, the Commonwealth, the OAS, the Organization of American States, and as well, they've sent it to the Carter Center and CARICOM. You got to get clarity on the process. The process cannot be opaque. Right? You got to be clear what guidelines you're following. Right? Valid and credible information all the time, folks. Valid and credible information all the time. We got about 5 minutes left with you guys, another 5 or 10 minutes. Valid and credible information always. Folks, do us the big favor. Share the live, share the broadcast for us so that others can get the valid and credible information as well. And thank you so much. We got close to 3,000 of you who are tuned in. The guys are saying no sound. Are you guys hearing us? Mayburn says no sound. Mayburn King says no sound. Are you guys hearing us? Do let us know if you're hearing us. Do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. You know, if you got a big back TV, you know what we always say. Do give us an indication. We want to press on. You know, let us know. Let us know if you're leaving. Mark and Waveney, good to see you guys on the live. Savage and Humi, Samantha and Mandy, great to see all of you. Jessa, Judy says I hear it. Cherry Jeffrey said loud and clear. Wilma Grant, Rajin, and Iona, Loretta, and all the other folks. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast tonight. And thanks for giving us that feedback. Sometimes you got to get a little feedback before you press on. As I said, we support, in principle, what the Forward Movement Guyana is saying there in terms of just seeking clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. You know, sometimes you need a big brother to stand up for you. Sometimes you need a big brother to stand up for you. You all remember how Irfan tried to run up to Travis? He tried to run up to Travis. He disrespected himself. You all remember that? Well, that's what we're following. Right? Now, this is being put in the context of press freedom. With Gordon Mosley now, veteran journalist, Gordon Mosley weighing in to this controversy. Right? Weighing into it. My Lord. You know what's interesting here? Is that Gordon understands this so acutely. Having himself been banned, y'all remember that? You can't term at State House. You can't term at Office of the President. He was in 2008 working with Capital News. When them boys tried to muzzle him, because why? He was just asking questions, doing what journalists do, asking questions, and then boys start getting worried. Right? They start getting jumpy. What is it? What is it? And this was Jack Leo's doing. Right? Labeling at the time the Ghana Press Association as the new opposition party. Well, Gordon weighed into this thing this morning in a lengthy letter to the editor. I saw it in Starbucks News in particular, stating that at all points, Travis was very respectful to Irfan. You see? Very respectfully addressed him as Mr. President several times. Irfan said he wasn't there in that capacity. He said he came as a candidate. But he wanted to be addressed as president candidate. And then a whole bunch of sycophants started mouthing this propaganda that somehow Travis was seeking to be disrespectful. But I'm grateful for the incident insofar that it gave us a sneak peek into Irfan's mind and thinking. Because he was quick to say, oh, his opposition aligned. What is that? So all of the media houses that we know that carries a certain narrative and a certain slant of government information, or there's people aligned. They're government aligned. That's very dangerous. Very dangerous. And we see them clamping down little by little on freedom of speech, freedom of expression. He spoke about it as well in that inauguration speech. Right? He spoke about it. But I want you all to understand, Guyanese brothers and sisters at home and abroad, the 7 old people, when an old man see him peltier, don't got the brick in his hand. The Don got the brick in his hands already. So we're watching it. We're watching it. We can stand with our brothers and sisters in the fraternity, toe to toe, back to back. We will stand with them. Thank you, Gordon, for supporting our brother. And thank you, Travis, for standing your ground and not taking nonsense as well. Please and thank you. And I saw a meeting today of President Irfan Ali, the only one of problems, President Irfan Ali, and the president of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alastair Rutledge. But I says the 2016 production sharing agreement that they promised to renegotiate in the last term in office, that was a failed promise. I thought that is what they were meeting about. But alas, it was not so. They tell us, the president of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alastair Rutledge, right? Is it Cereba's CEO Andrew Fieldman? They met and discussed the developing Guyana First data center. Gotta get a lot of energy. Can't get steady blackouts. To have a data center, you gotta get a huge supply of cheap electricity. Right? So they spoke about the Guyana First data center and advancing artificial intelligence research. Right? Now I hear bluffed plenty. I know it when I see it. You see? I know it when I see it. So they weren't talking about the renegotiation of the 2016 production sharing agreement. The day said it was a lopsided, it was a bad deal. And 5 years later, didn't change a word, a sentence. Didn't change the syntax, the construction, nothing, the grammar, nothing. Nothing at all. And it's that agreement that has brought in the largest through the Natural Resource Fund that they're spending. I'm told PPP spent in upwards of $30 billion in the election. $30 billion. You see how the nature of the game has changed? I'm being told Win spent about $4 billion. The nature of the game has changed. It's a billionaires play field now. Billionaires play field. So they talked about building a data sovereignty hub. A data sovereignty hub. You know. Why can't I say just a data hub? And the Wales, or rather building at Wales, powered by the gas from the Stabroek block. So what they talked about. Let me just finish the Wales gas ashore. Now it's supposed to be finished 2 years ago. Right? Don't let me get ahead of myself. Let's just finish that. Let's just get the half price electricity. Right? Let me just pick those low-hanging fruits and try to move on from there. And then we can talk about all these lofty things. Please and thank you. Right? Then we can turn and talk about all these lofty things. And as we wrap up, before you all run away and leave us, interestingly, we saw some information that says there was a high-grade gold find by a company called Oko West. They got some operations in the country. This is the Oko West project in Region 7. Right? They said they were using, listen to all these euphemisms, a new structural model. Right? And during the use of this new structural model, right, the exploration drilling uncovered a second high-grade ore body beyond the current pits, beyond the limits of the current pits, confirming the deposit growth potential. This is according to the company. Right? The company noted that recent drilling extended its understanding of the 5.4, listen to this, 5.4 million ounce deposit, which could extend the life of the mine. You know, I went through over the last couple of weeks some of these areas where you got heavy mining. You know one thing I realized? They are some of the most economically depressed areas. Some of the most economically depressed. Matthews Ridge, for instance, been mining magnesium, I think it is. Do they mine gold there? For years. But you couldn't tell that when you touched down at Matthews Ridge Airport. You couldn't tell that when you walk the streets. When you see how people live. Linden produced bauxite. What else it produced? Magnesium too. Timber comes through there. When you look at our brothers and sisters there, you don't see that mineral wealth represented in the quality of life they have. Barometer, we've been through there. People mine there. Mbamadai. Again, when you look at the quality of life, the quality of the infrastructure, is this what Walter Rodney called the underdevelopment of our country? Huh? Is that what they call it? The underdevelopment. There's an interesting editorial as we wrap up in today's Kaicho News. Ali's poverty crusade demands real action. I don't know. Like Kaicho is reading our script. Real action. That's what the editorial says. And in this Kaicho News editorial, they highlight President Irfan Ali's President Irfan Ali's inauguration pledge to wage a national crusade against poverty. He said they're going to cut electricity bills. How you cut it in the gas ashore? You finish within the time frame you say you're going to finish. It was supposed to finish 2 years ago. They just poured the first foundation concrete or something like that, they say. Cutting electricity, lowering cooking gas. In Bamadai, cooking gas is $16,000 a bottle. 16. 16 with 3 zeros. While you're paying 4 5 in the city and crying out, 16, 15, $16,000. A pound of chicken is 1,300. And they're going to expand part-time jobs. The editorial, of course, praised the ambition, but caution that despite Guyana's oil wealth, many citizens remain in poverty. We've seen it. And the editorial called for the transparent use of our revenues and robust anti-corruption measures. We just lose them on the last bit now. They start talking about anti-corruption measures. Her American ambassador Sarah Lynch, before she left, implored them to pursue anti-corruption measures. Everything she could find. Referred to the David Granger government, putting systems in place. Right? The same AMTL, whatever it is, anti-money laundering, you know the whole thing. You know the regime. Our government, we come off the watch list, we government, code of conduct for ministers. Once you start talking about robust anti-corruption measures, you lose them, they stop listening. They hear you, but they ain't listening. It's like the resident and domicile. They hear you, but they ain't listening. The culture editorial went on to urge the PP government to move beyond slogans. Oh, you box them here now. Move beyond slogans. Invest in education. Diversify the economy. So that resources or the resource riches translate into tangible improvements for our citizens. You can't get better than that. You can't get better than that. That's what's needed. I was not prepared for the level or the quality of living of some of our brothers and sisters. Let people choose how they want to live, not because they don't have it in the pocket. Not because they don't have it in the pocket. Please and thank you. We in an age where all of us can live nice in this country. Oil, timber, manganese, bauxite, sugar, rice, you name it. God has blessed this country. But oh God, the leadership is so poor. We're rich in resources, poor in leadership. This is where we end our broadcast tonight. We said what we said. This is where we end the broadcast tonight. Vesta, Linton, Katian, Samuel, John. This is where we end it. Folks, before you go, share the broadcast for us. Do us that big favor. We got thousands of you watching us this evening across YouTube and Facebook. Share the broadcast. Smash that emoji button. Let me go down the road right now. Right? Raka Gentle says Nepal. Then get it right in Nepal. One way or the other. Then get it right. Jason, Waveney, Joshua, Carletta, Jillian. Then get it right. One way or the other. That's the time. That's our broadcast. We're going to see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Stay safe.